with satirical analysis, Chuck Palahniuk's Fight Club by DJ, Dylan, Sonny, Tyler, and Alex.
The illusion of modern society, the main satirical points that Palahniuk points out is that being materialistic and conforming to social norms is what like the main satirized topics. It satirizes the book by the nature of what goes on in human logic. Another thing about that is, as far as for other social norms, for example, Palahniuk also points out about the rules that everyone needs to follow. However, as far as for social norms, we come to find that these rules that are needed to be followed are actually not expressed in writing, in which they supply humankind in conjunction with a plan on how to conduct oneself in a specific community or any circumstances that tend to occur. Though they tend to be approved guidelines for behavioral conduct in a way to give order throughout the world. The reason people tend to trust upon these types of social norms so that they know how to behave as well as to present to the order and the ways of making it possible to know on what to expect in these type of social situations. There, modern society is then affected by the peril of tyranny from those who have promised the privilege to be free. Because it is defined by consumerism from how its consumerist culture, as well as it being feminized, relates to what happens with masculinity.
Social norms are the unwritten rules and expectations that guide behavior within the society. These norms dictate how individuals should act, dress, and interact with others based on cultural values and social standards. The quote that ties to this is, "I let go, lost in oblivion, dark and silent and complete. I found freedom. Losing all hope was from me." In Fight Club, social norms serve as a powerful constraints that limits the expression of an individual's identity and enforce comfortability to establish roles and behaviors. The narrator worked a corporate job that he despised. The job follows a social norm where he has to wear a certain type of attire and do a certain type of work. It's like he's trapped in a cycle where people sacrifice their authenticity to be able to fit in and avoid social disapproval.
This quote in Fight Club shows the way how our main character and Tyler Durden combat the social conformity that people are forced into every day. And this quote is, "I want you to hit me as hard as you can." This quote has meaning because in this book, our narrator believes that they exist within an artificial culture created by us, where everything is shallow and has no meaning. And by fighting, it will give us meaning. So they take action by breaking down the world that was built for them by rejecting it with violence. Tyler is also a rejection of the world that the narrator lives in. Their whole reason behind the violence is because they believe humans aren't meant to live in a clean and safe environment that forces them to be docile, but in an environment that makes them feel like their natural self, which allows them to have meaningful lives.
Stepping away from society. On page 33, it said, "If I could wake up in a different place at a different time, could I wake up as a different person?" The actual underground Fight Club rebels against social expectations of success and status. The support group itself serves as a manifestation of the characters' rejection of social constraints by providing a space where they can express themselves freely and challenge the social norms of behavior. People in a group can uncover their true selves and pursue genuine fulfillment and be who they really are. A place where all built up anger or stress can be released in a way of an uncivilized way, which is violence.
In this quote, Chuck Palahniuk is satirizing materialism and how freeing it is to let go of possessions. The quote is, "It's only after we have lost everything that we are free to do anything." Although this is slightly paradoxical, I can find a powerful truth in this. promise of being free after losing everything is just a promise of letting go. They're letting go of possessions, social expectations, and all things that humans hold onto so tightly, hindering us from being our authentic selves, which are things like clinging to jobs that you hate, but also simultaneously too afraid to quit, chasing after status and materialistic things that we do not need to feel like our authentic selves.
So the theme of materialism is also found when the narrator talks about the things around his apartment. He says that it took his whole life to buy all of his stuff, suggesting that he ties his life into owning his property and that buying this stuff gives him life in a way. This is shown again when he says that he's trapped in his lovely nest and that the things he owns own him now. Here, he's kind of admitting to being attached to his possessions and feeling like he has less freedom because of it. Another quote that could tie into the theme of consumerism is this one when the narrator talks about Tyler and Mara. The narrator says this because the three characters don't want each other around, but also because they want to use each other for their own motives. They essentially want to own the other person, just like if they were furniture or property. So consumerism also plays a big part of the message of this story. The first quote comes from when the narrator's hand gets burnt from the soap lie. Tyler says to him, "Soap and human sacrifice go hand in hand." This quote relates to the Space Monkeys quote from earlier in the reading. Tyler says to think about the monkeys shot into space, and without their death, we would have nothing. These space monkeys also symbolize how people work certain jobs or do things without thinking about how it could actually benefit themselves.
Or is summarized asking which naturally out and it's really pushed into society today. And he uses this character of Tyler Durden, really supposed to represent that alpha male personality. And the whole idea of creating a fight club and Project Land are really just an exaggeration of men and letting their masculinity come out. And I think this is well represented by the quote, "I just don't want to die without a few scars," which is a very masculine thing to say. And I think it's an exaggeration of wanting to be able to fight and have that alpha male mentality. Chuck Palahniuk satirizes the idea of self-discovery and finding yourself through the narrator's journey. And I think he does it in a very interesting way and not a very normal way, because the narrator is really in his head the entire time, and it represents how he might have some mental disorders, such as personality disorder. And I thought the quote, "Sticking feathers up your butt does not make you a chicken," was a good representation of this, because he's finding himself, and this quote represents how he is trying to become Tyler Durden and wear these things and do these things that would make him more of who he wants to be, even though that's not really who he is. And I think it's a way for Chuck Palahniuk to satirize how people find themselves in real life and just trying to become something that you're not is not really true self-discovery.
From what I see in the argument conclusion, my biggest point in the book, looking at the fact that people aren't special, I feel like this would mean that no one is beautiful nor unique. However, they aren't rubbish either. This would mean that there are no positives nor negatives on what people are like over the course of the book. They are just neutral individuals. Additional thing that I would like to conclude right here is that here in my argument, I believe that there's an additional meaning to what is being said. The narrator also says to don't feel bad because he also is claiming that nobody is good enough after saying that he is not good enough too. This is also what makes Fight Club one of those cultural downfalls, making it one of those types of notable semiotic precipitation occurrences. It has also been one of those cultural moments where society has also gone downhill with a lot of drifts that have made it a bad sign. What makes it a bad sign is that how toxic the book is, the more satirical it gets. Because of the nature of the satire, the amount of times that people are said to not be good enough, the more negativity that it increases in Fight Club. What Palnick means is that everyone in the book is part of the same compost pile, meaning part of the same decayed organic matter too. Here's the main thing about this. Everyone has characteristics in common, but there is no one remarkable nor any person of the same kind.
The questions that we came up with are, what do they think about identity and why does it affect the course of the book? And do you think today's social constructs from this book also have a significant role in your life?